Hello, and welcome to another episode of Myths for Megami Tensei. Somehow, it's been over an entire year since I last did one of these, but, you know, I was busy with really important stuff. Like, telling you all what the 5 best burgers in the Persona series are. Anyway, for those of you that are new to this series, these videos are just about me listing off 10 figures or ideas that I'd love to eventually see as demons in the Megami Tensei franchise. I'm not putting them in any particular order, but as always, I am limiting myself to one figure per branch of mythology. And sorry in advance if I mispronounce anything, I'm currently sick and a bit sleepy. Now, you've all waited long enough, so let's just get things started. Our first creature comes from Arthurian legend, and it's a fearsome and powerful monster found in many a bestiary. With a long neck like a serpent, a spotted body like a leopard, and powerful hooved legs like a stag, the Glatisant, more commonly known as the questing beast, is 100% what happens when someone who has never seen a giraffe before just freaks the fuck out. Like, this was absolutely just a giraffe. But the idea that historians and artists saw this animal and were able to twist and warp it into an iconic and still often referenced creature is pretty unique on its own. Design-wise, I honestly think Doi could just try to present this thing as a creepy-looking giraffe and call it a day. I mean, after all, the franchise already has just an actual, real hippopotamus as a demon, so why not? Masayuki Doi has given us some incredible demons since he took over as lead designer nearly a decade ago, but in my opinion, the absolute best of the best demon he's ever made is Amabie. This demon is silly, but creepy, but lovable, but iconic, and just so many fantastic traits rolled into one. I absolutely adore this demon, and I don't care how many of you told me I was wrong to give her an S rank. So if you actually read through Amabie's compendium entry in Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance, you see that it mentions a few other figures, notably Kudan, who already exists in this series and recently made a comeback in Raida Remastered, and then Amabiko and Jinjahime. While Amabiko, a large-nosed, three-legged ape-like creature, would be perfectly fine, I'm specifically giving this spot to Jinjahime, an incredibly long eel or serpent-like yokai with a woman's face. She appeared on a beach in Hizen one day and was like, expect a bountiful harvest over the next 7 years, but then a lot of people are gonna die of cholera. And die they did. Of all the weird yokai who showed up one day to deliver cryptic prophecies like Amabie and Kudan, Jinjahime is widely believed to have been the first, so it's honestly a bit odd she hasn't reared her surprisingly hot head on a weird fish body yet. Speaking of the ocean, you all know me, I love to always include one entry that will absolutely never even be considered for a demon, but I still think is a cool story that could be one. If you've ever played a game or watched a movie that involves like deep sea diving or submarines or something like that in the past 30 years or so, you've probably heard this cute little sound clip before. This sound is known as the Bloop, and yes, somehow I am pitching that as my idea for a Megami Tensei demon. The Bloop was a bizarre sound picked up in the ocean by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 1997. While the sound seemed to originate around the tip of South America, sensors were picking it up nearly 3,000 miles away. While science hippies eventually determined the exact cause of this sound was likely the result of shifting ice plates in a process known as calving, the thought of the bloop being the call of some enormous unknown undersea leviathan was an incredible story back in the 90s. Because here's the part a lot of people don't know. That cute little... yeah, that's the sound sped up to 16 times its normal speed. Imagine being a researcher in the 90s monitoring oceanic sounds and hearing this instead. And that's why I want a bloop demon, okay? So this next pick is sort of a 2-for-1 demon in that it's a figure that always seems to be accompanied by its pet. In Malaysian folklore, a Polong is a type of blood familiar born from dark magic. Now, I read some pieces that said you need the blood of a murder victim, and some that said you need the blood of a murderer, and some that just said blood in general, so... yeah, you need some blood and a small bottle with a thin neck. Then you have to speak a specific incantation over the bottle for about a week or so, and the blood will transform into a small woman made of blood. Owners who bond themselves with a Polong can then send the familiar out to attack someone that they feel has wronged them. The miniature blood woman does this by sending her own pet after the target, a cricket-like spirit known as a Pelicit, no idea where that comes from, to hop into the mouth of a target and start singing. Once the Polong hears the Pelicit's cry, it will climb into the mouth of the target and cause them to go absolutely insane. It's a unique story, and one that I do think would make for a good demon, if only because I trust Joy to design a tiny little blood woman in a bottle, lovingly holding her pet cricket. Now here's actually a first for this series. I'm going to pitch a figure that technically does already exist and is actually an Atlus original. Most of you know by now, I'm a huge fan of the protagonist versions of Jack Frost. I love Demon Iho, and Iho, and Raiho, and Nahobiho, like this is not a secret. But did you know that Atlus actually gave us another one that's never appeared in any games? In 2021, Atlus released official concert art of the Jacks playing in a band, and gripping the mic is none other than a Black Frost with Demi-Fiend tattoos, and that's just awesome. And I want that to be in a game somewhere. Now, here's the big question. What do you all think this demon should be called? I personally have been going with Demi-Frost, but I also have this headcanon that he wants to be called the Demi-Friend, like combining Frost and Fiend. Except on his business cards, which are a thing in King Abaddon, he just added an R to the word Fiend, so it says Demi-Friend, and he gets really mad when people don't pronounce it as Friend. I spend way too much time thinking about this stuff. What comes to mind when you hear American cryptid? Usually Bigfoot, Mothman, maybe the Jersey Devil or Florida skunk ape, but have you ever heard of Colorado's Slide Rock Bolter? If not, oh boy, this thing is weird. So imagine a blue whale that lives on top of the mountain, and it has like a hooked tail that it uses to grip the mountain peaks, and then it just slides down the mountain with its mouth open to eat tourists and animals and stuff. And when it's done eating, it just pulls itself back up by its tail and waits to do it all over again. Now, the exact size of this thing seems to vary by art. Sometimes, yeah, it's pretty big, but kept at least somewhat believable that this thing could be hiding on mountain peaks and sliding down to eat and stuff. And then sometimes it's just like, the size of the mountain. It's such a bizarre cryptid, and I like ocean creatures even when they're hiding out in the Colorado mountains. I guess if this thing starts chasing you, try to run off to the side, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to beat the Slide Rock Bolter down to the bottom in one piece. For the second time in this video, I'm returning to the well of beautiful women's faces on animal bodies. But while the Jinjahime was a fish, the Gamayun of Russian folklore is a
birdie. Birdie.
This incredible creature supposedly lives on a small island to the east believed to be paradise. The Gamayun is a gorgeous woman's head on a bird body covered with sleek, lustrous black feathers, and is believed to sing an enchanting song. However, few people can understand what she sings, which is unfortunate, because it's believed that the Gamayun basically knows everything, ever, everywhere, and is aware of the fate of humanity, animals, heroes, and gods. So yeah, being able to interpret her song would be pretty helpful. In some versions of the story, the Gamayun has no wings or legs and keeps herself afloat with only her tail feathers, and it's believed that her falling to the earth is a bad omen for the future of humanity. I mean, look, it's not like women's heads on bird bodies is a new thing, even in MegaTen, so yeah, I think this one could work. A protoplast is a term that generally refers to either the first human or the one who got the ball rolling on the whole humanity thing. Figures like Adam Kadmon or Izanagi often fall into this category. And while there are a lot of really interesting protoplasts from different regions, one that caught my eye for this video is Kintu, a legendary figure from African history, most notably Uganda. His name, which roughly translates as just thing, arrived in the plains of Uganda with a cow and some basic provisions. His survival instincts caught the attention of the sky god, Gugulu, who gave him 5 trials to complete, many of which seemed centered around his cow. Like for Kintu to be able to identify his own cow in a field of 10,000 cows. Kintu completed the trials and was granted permission to return to Earth with Gugulu's daughter, Nambi, and a wide range of agricultural bounties to help kickstart life on Earth, like bananas, potatoes, and chickens. However, Gugulu warned the couple that they must never come back to the heavens, or else Nambi's brother, Walumbe, the embodiment of death and disease, would totally be like, "Hey guys, wait up, I want to go to Earth too!" And because Kintu forgot the chicken feed, he goes back to heaven, and yeah, long story short, Walumbe is why we have death on Earth now. I really enjoy Protoplast stories, and I think Kintu's is a really interesting one, and I think he'd make a great figure in the franchise. There are many fascinating myths and spirits in Native American culture, and Megami Tensei really hasn't drawn from that particular well too often. One story that I enjoyed reading about was the Mesingw, a mask spirit that inhabits the forests of many tribes, like the Lenape and Shawnee, among others. Traditionally, the Mesingw appears as a black and red mask that watches over the forest and helps maintain the balance of nature. It aims to protect all animals, but has a strong attachment to deer, often riding one when it does make a proper physical appearance to punish hunters or other visitors who abuse the forest. While in Lenape traditions, the Mesingw does seem to just inhabit the mask, other stories, like some from Shawnee tales, describe the forest spirit as a almost Bigfoot-like creature wearing the mask. I could see either interpretation working as a Megami Tensei demon, but I do admit you'll probably get some more unique animations from the giant ape creature helping carry the mask around. And you all thought you were going to get out of this video without a Hawaiian figure showing up, but guess what? It's time for another Hawaiian figure. Specifically, Kamahoali'i, the powerful shark god most commonly remembered as Pele's brother. He was most famous for helping guide ships back to the islands if they appeased him with, medicinal beverages. While Kamahoali'i could apparently take the form of any fish, a shark was the most common. On top of appearing as a shark, he could also appear as a man, or as a half-man, half-shark. He was seen as a protector god, but at the end of the day, he was still a shark, so it was wise to keep blood out of the water around him. Kamahoali'i isn't the only shark god in Hawaiian folklore, but he was believed to be the king of the sharks. So in your stupid shark face, Ukupanipo, maybe if you were king, I'd be talking about you instead. Alrighty, and with that, we've got another 10 figures that I'd love to see appear as demons or figures in Megami Tensei one day. You know, if I just keep doing this series, the law of averages means eventually one of them might actually show up. But probably not if I'm going to keep tossing out ideas like the Bloop. What are some figures that you'd love to see in Megami Tensei one day? I did do a video on demons you'd love to see, so maybe I'll talk about them one day too. Don't forget to comment and subscribe if you liked this video, it really does help the channel out. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, take care.